My name is Andrei Chufer, architect, and I have just one question. We are facing new challenges in fire safety. In 2000, we have a problem in tunnels. We changed from gasoline and diesel to electric. And the tunnels, and especially garages, will be once again a trouble. Not just because of terrorism, but because of technology, refilling the cars in the garages and so on. So we had technology that we presented in 1990 in Bled regarding ventilation. There was a company from Croatia and myself extinguishing with water mist. In between, there are several companies that was laughing at the time, was trying to introduce this water mist, and they are doing actually business. And we get a step further in extinguishing with air. But there is no way that this new technology could come to, for instance, to Karavanke tunnel or maybe garages in ports and so on. Thank you. I would like to find some partners in this direction to bring this forward.
Yeah. Mr. Schreiber.
I would just say this sounds like a good example where you could see what you can find partners, maybe also in other member states. I mean, check with your local Enterprise Europe network, because that I think is sounds like a a good case.
Well, first of all, of course, this is a very important question, because the changes in automobile industry are tremendous. And of course, you are just one part, so I will introduce just my view, namely building the cars is no problem. The problem is the infrastructure for the new things, and you are part of this infrastructure, because the car is in fact, let me say, computer on 4 wheels with the software. And of course, you need to do those infrastructure in Europe, and this is what I mentioned in my presentation. You have to make this change, a paradigm change. You are not talking about the cars and the automobile, we are talking about the mobility. And mobility means including your project in this part. So you can come to us and we will discuss, but I cannot provide you the partner. As I said before, there is a private sector who will do that, and of course there is definitely needed to make these things change on a European level, because mobility in Europe is in, let me say, a little bit different position than in the United States, because the United States are preparing, I mean, with Google and Tesla, self-driving cars already there, and I think we have to be prepared to get another pressure from China. So I will not only invite you to come, not only invite you to come to us to see if it's possible, but I'm not sure I can provide you a partner, but definitely on European level we have to change some of those things to be on the level of that what the China and USS is doing.
Thank you very much. I'm from Josef Stefan Institute. I understand, I had a question about Horizon Europe program. I have the feeling that the framework programs are moving more and more towards the higher technology readiness levels. And of course, for research groups and high-tech companies, this means that member states have to have even more responsibility than they used to, that research organizations and high-tech companies can compete on the equal foot. So what I would like to ask you is, do you intend to integrate more also the research and innovation policies of member states so that we can really compete on equal foot with other parts of Europe?
Well, I think that in the next session we'll discuss more about that, namely how also the ecosystems of innovation in member states would be integrated in the, sort of say, in the European ecosystem. And clearly this goes along with also the policies, and just reminding that we have the European Research Area. What is, well, we are not there where we'd like to be, but clearly this would be also the new focus under Horizon Europe in order to strengthen European research area and making it really European. But this is part of the picture.
Thank you. I'm Hrvoje from the company Arctur.
Okay, you mentioned today already, yes.
Yeah.
So you can be short.
But besides HPC, where we are in the top, among the top in Europe, we are also quite active in other innovations. And one problem we are now facing with is the patent. When we patent a certain innovation, we don't know exactly if somebody violates the patent. And if, for example, a foreign company, let's say US, Japan company, big company, violates this patent in the territory of EU, we as a small firm don't have that much financial means or financial backing to go to a court and to, for example, to go to a court process for 10 years and to just to win, to have this patent. I would make a suggestion maybe to, let's say, think in this direction, to have a EU mechanism to back small firms like us to be able to, through finance or through other means, protect our patents against bigger foreign companies that come
Very good question
around.
and very significant problem as well. Who may maybe go on that one?
No, maybe just, I mean, you're putting your finger on a very important point because, you know, you're always saying a patent is also only worth the deep pockets you have to actually enforce it because first you have to put down money and then, I mean, you may actually get your rights enforced. So, I mean, this is something we're very much aware of. My colleagues working on patents are actually looking at some sort of pilot solutions that you could have some sort of, you know, insurance fund, or I mean, we're exploring that because this is, I mean, this is a real issue that I mean, in terms of enforcement. So I mean, we are aware, and if you can, I mean, can give me your details, and I will put you in contact with the colleagues who are looking at it.
Okay, maybe one question just before we break off. I mean, when you talk about TRL, different points of it, so to say. In which phase do you think the, let's say, financial support or grants would be the most important ones? And maybe the second one, the second issue, do you see any difference between the countries? Do developed countries have, let's say, different needs regarding these phases? Do you, as European Commission, see any differences here? Maybe, let's say, EU 13 countries or, let's say, medium-sized developed countries would need a different kind of support, because many times I have the impression that all these instruments, except the widening ones, and even those we could discuss, are really written on the skin of really very well-developed countries, and maybe in some less developed countries, or EU 13, whatever we call them, these are not really so useful.
Perhaps I can start off, and the colleagues can also complement. Well, what we see in case of the small countries, clearly they are more successful and more interested in collaborative research, because there they are more competitive, and clearly this is important then really to build the networks, to be part of the networks, and also to create the links with other research groups. And this is also behind the whole idea that we presented today, these innovative, the test beds, digital hubs, and so on, in order to bring these players together. Well, clearly the countries where you have big companies, also the very competitive companies, they normally also invest more in research and innovation than the SMEs, which is normal. And in the small countries, the SMEs are clearly predominant. So clearly there you also need more public investment, also going to these the TRLs in the middle, where, for instance, in the big countries, the companies will take care of those, and that's why, well, clearly for the smaller countries, then the investments in all these three pillars are actually very crucial.
Yeah, certain countries have more cohesion funds, so we didn't talk about this comparabilities and how they match together, but okay, unfortunately we have to finish now. I suggest 10 minutes break for coffee, and then we proceed with the launch of European Innovation Council, which is again another instrument coming up, and we'll have some presentations and a little bit more time for questions. So thank you for the time being.